Hi guys, this is the making of Pina Colada, a high temperature hot process coconut milk soap. This is also called the countertop fluid hot process method or the quick hot process method, however you want to call it. What I start with is 3% sugar that's been dissolved in the water and 1 teaspoon per pound of oil of sodium lactate. Both of those are in my water, and then the lye is mixed in. And this is done when the oils have reached 200 degrees, and then I mix my lye into my water and then add it hot. Now, this particular method here, I am actually cooking with 25% water. So I can add the coconut milk and the pineapple juice after the cook. And doing hot process soap, the high temperature way, is not a beginner way. And I do have a beginner hot process video, and I also have lye safety video and a cold process video for beginners. This is not where I suggest that you start, and especially if you're not that familiar with hot process, I don't recommend doing this with a water discount because it does create more heat and it does volcano more on you, and I'll show you that in the video. But just want you to be aware that this is not recommended for beginners. And also, your soap is going to cook differently when you're using less water. And normally when I do the countertop method, I just heat my oils in the crock pot base and then I set the crock pot on the counter. But for here, I started mixing here, and I still have it in the base because a lower water soap actually needs more heat to gel. So I wanted to make sure I was going to be able to maintain that heat throughout. So I didn't start it on the counter. It probably would have worked just as well on the counter, but I just wanted to make sure I was going to be able to maintain that heat. So I didn't take it out until a few minutes in, and you'll see that here in a little bit. But when I'm adding the hot lye to the hot oils, you just need to be really, really careful and make sure that you have your safety gear on, and you never ever want to walk away when you are making a hot process soap, and especially not a high temperature hot process soap, because it will volcano on you, and if you walk away and come back, it will boil up, fluff up out of the container, and it'll be all over the counter, and it's such a mess to try to clean that up. So just don't walk away, and make sure you have something handy to stir it with. Okay? And I do a lot of stirring when I do hot process to incorporate the heat and to make sure that I don't end up with soap chunks in the soap. But you can also just leave it covered. If you prefer to use plastic wrap, you can do that. I don't like to mess with plastic wrap. I just prefer to use the lid for the crock pot. But as always, I want you to do things that how you are comfortable with, and I'm going to show you things that work for me, but I also want you to find what works best for you, what you are comfortable with. Okay, so however you like to do it. If you want to do a coconut milk hot process soap and you want to cook at a lower temperature, go for it. I am just showing you how to do this at the high temperature. Okay. And yes, I want to state that again, do not walk away. And also, I am using a new video editor. I had a lot of problems with iSkysoft, and also on my other videos, people had commented they didn't like the words when they came up, that they didn't stay up long enough, and I could not change that. But in the new editor that I'm using called Filmora, it allows me to be able to do that. So when you see words come up on the screen, I can now do that. So please let me know what you think of the new video, the style. So things are going to be a little bit different, but I'm really liking the new editor. So let me know, comment, tell me. But throughout the high temperature hot process, you want to just stir off and on. And I don't particularly like using the stick blender any more than I have to. So I just stick blend to trace, and then I let it sit there and cook on its own. And then I come back and stir every now and again. But, you know, especially I don't recommend stick blending when it's at the thick pudding stage, because you can burn up your stick blender. So I wait till it loosens up, it gets to the applesauce stage. And, you know, and also in the beginner hot process video that I have, I show you how to just whisk the whole time and you don't have to stick blend again. It's a little bit more of an arm workout, but, you know, it's just completely up to you and what you are comfortable with. Okay? So, just, you know, and if you have any questions, please ask. You know, and if you have not joined my Facebook group yet, it's called Soap Making and Business Coaching. We are over 8,000 people now in the group. It has been so amazing, and it's such a great resource. And also I have, if you are in business, I have a lot of things in the files, workbooks, and I just added a blog page to my website, naturalsudsandmore.com. It has links to all of those workbooks too, so you can just go in there and click on it and then download the file. I have all kinds of things in there for free. They're just workbooks for free that I've created because I've had so many people ask for those things. So they're there as a resource for you on my website and in the Facebook group as well. So but please let me know if you have any questions, and there's so many more ideas in my head that I have coming, so you can also subscribe to my website and you won't miss out on updates and things like that too. But you can see here that this soap, because I'm cooking with such a water discount here, that it just keeps wanting to boil up out of the container, so I had to stir a lot. That's why I don't recommend that beginners try this. If you're nervous about the volcanoes, you can cook at a lower temperature. So whatever you are comfortable with, okay? And yes, I do stir a lot. I like to use the whisk. You know, I want to be able to make sure that that's incorporated and it heats evenly, and I don't have to worry about hot spots and getting soap chunks from overcooked soap and things like that. And that's one of the reasons why I like the high temperature hot process, because you don't overcook the soap that way doing it. So, but you know, there's so many different ways to make hot process soap. I want you to find what works for you. You know, and if you're new to making recipes too, I make my hot process recipes a lot different than I do my cold process recipes. And I just launched an eCourse, the masterclass on advanced soap formulations. That link is available on my website on the courses page too, if you're interested, if you've been struggling with creating recipes. I had a lot of people ask for that, so that just came out right after Christmas. And we also have a separate Facebook group just for people that have bought the course. If you need more instruction on that, that's there for you as well. And also the eCourse is a companion to my book, the Soap Making Handbook Volume 1. So if you have the book, and I launched it just as the course without the book, but now it is sold with a free copy of the ebook because you need it for the course. Now here, you know, I stirred and stirred, and I keep the lid on when I'm not stirring to try to help keep some more moisture in there. But you're just going to have to keep an eye on it and watch it and see when it needs to be stirred, and see, you know, you have to watch and see what it needs. You know, if it completely separates out on you, you're going to need to stick blend it back together. And, you know, if you want to stick blend it just to speed it up a little bit, but once you stick blend, it will create a volcano. So you need to be prepared to be able to stir that back down with a whisk fast. You know, and also keep in mind this is, you know, 200 degrees that we're cooking this at, and then it does get hotter once it gels, and once it starts to volcano, that's what's finishing the saponification process there. So you really have to just be very careful when you're making soap like this. But you can see how the stick blending actually, forces the volcano. But it does speed it up a little bit. But just be prepared to stir it back down fast. And this kept actually wanting to keep volcanoing on me, and I had to keep stirring it and keep stirring it, and until it finished cooking, and then until it finally relaxed enough where I could just let it sit. And I looked up. I'm not a culinary expert, but I looked up that milk scorches at 180 degrees. So in this process of adding milk to the soap, I wanted to make sure that it was under 180, and I added it about 170, 175, somewhere around in there. So that way, if you add the milk after the cook, it's not touched by the lye, so you're not going to lose those properties that you want, and it's going to be more conditioning and all that. So there's advantages to making a hot process milk soap versus a cold process one. And I do have a cold process coconut milk video. It's the one where I make the peppermint mochaccino. It's got coffee and coffee grounds in it. And I use cocoa powder, so it's brown and white. But yes, but when you do a hot process milk soap, if you wait till it's around 170 degrees, you're going to end up with a white milk soap. Or at least if you added 180, it should still be a white soap for you. But yeah, I know, if you do like a goat milk soap or something, and you do get it too hot, it can scorch it, and you can end up with a brown soap. So there's just some tips there to help you try to get a whiter soap if that's what you're going for. And even if it does scorch the milk and you get a brown soap, it's still really good soap. There's just a little bit different smell to it, but it's still a really good soap. So don't worry about that if it does happen to you. Like I made milk soaps cold process for years, and I think I still prefer it over this, but I had so many people ask me about doing a milk hot process soap video, so I wanted to get that done for you guys. And one of my favorite scents is Pina Colada, and so I use the Caribbean coconut and pineapple fragrances from Wholesale Supplies Plus. Okay, what I did just there was I let it sit until it cooled down, and it took somewhere between a little over 10 minutes. And then I came back and I'm mixing in the yogurt right there. And I do the yogurt at room temperature. And you just want to make sure that your yogurt gets mixed in really well. Because if it's not, you can end up with some pieces of yogurt that is cooked. It doesn't hurt the soap at all, but it's, more of a aesthetic thing. But you want to make sure the yogurt gets incorporated really well. And it's also going to help with fluidity there too, because some of it gets converted to sodium lactate. You can also see how much thicker this soap is being cooked at such a low water amount there. But if you don't have to use 38% liquid, you can do a lower amount of liquid, and you can have it a harder soap sooner. But either way, you're still adding liquid, and it's still going to need to be cured. So I don't ever sell my soaps until hot process soaps too included, until they've been curing for 4 to 6 weeks as well. I want to make sure that all that liquid has been cured out, and it's going to be a really hard bar. So I know if you even if you do a water discount, say you just use 30% water, and it still lets your soaps cure for a few weeks, it's just going to make your customers have a better experience with the soaps. Now I added heated coconut milk and pineapple juice to the soap, and I'm just mixing that in really, really well. And for the colors in this soap, I am actually using Brazilian yellow clay and French green clay. Now I have been using clays for many years, but I really wasn't liking how they were working in the fluid hot process, so I was just pre-mixing them with water before, but this time I pre-mixed my clays with oil and water. So my superfat is actually in with the clays, and it made a huge difference because clays can absorb oil and water. So to make sure that they don't absorb anything else out of the soap when you're mixing it in, and to help it keep more fluid, pre-mixing with the oil and water really made a huge difference. And you can see here by looking at them how much more fluid they got by doing that. Because in my other videos it was a lot thicker. But so that was the trick there. So I wanted to share that with you. And then all I'm doing is pouring it into the mold. And then I'm going to do a hanger swirl. And the clays stayed fluid for a really long time. I worked with this soap for quite a while, in between letting it sit and cool down and things like that. But the clay portion is just poured right in, so pretty cool how that worked out. Because you never know if a fragrance oil is going to thicken it, or anything can throw it off and thicken up your fluid hot process soap. So even if that does happen, do not worry. You're still going to get a really good soap, and you're going to be able to work with it. It's still going to be a manageable hot process soap. There's just different degrees of fluidity, and I don't recommend getting too crazy fluid with it, because then it's going to take a lot longer, even more so, to cure it out. So, but the whole idea of doing the fluid hot process is to be able to work with it and get some designs and make them look really pretty. And you can add your superfat after the cook, and you can also add your fragrance oils or essential oils after the cook, and none of it is affected by the lye. So it's really great advantages to doing it. And then of course the soap is ready sooner. But there I just hanger swirled it. I went towards me and in a circle motion, and then went back. And then I did leave some of the clays left over to pour on top. And yes, always bang your mold down to make sure that you don't have any air pockets. And also those mini crock pots that I'm using are heated too, so that everything stays warm. I know some people heat up their molds and their utensils and everything else, but I have just been able to do that well with just heating the mini crock pots, and been fine with it. But if you're in a really cold climate, or your house is really cold, you might want to heat up your mold or your utensils or anything like that. And you never want to add anything cold to your fluid hot process either, because it can seize it up. Now I spray with a little bit of rubbing alcohol there, just to make the swirl design a little bit easier. And then this goes in the refrigerator, and then I cut it in about 3 hours, 2-3 hours. I'll show you the cut picture here in a sec. There it is, Pina Colada. Thank you so much for watching. You can please like and subscribe to my channel, and please join my Facebook group, Soap Making and Business Coaching, if you haven't. And my ebook and eCourse are available on my website, naturalsudsandmore.com.